Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park for May for podcast number 971, the season review. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Kimmy. You know what we do on season reviews?
We watch one, then we talk about it. Then we watch one, then we talk about it. Come on, Todd.
That's exactly what we do. We watch a whole season and then we talk about it, right? That's what we do. But before doing that, I got to go get my co-host and bring him in. You know who this is. Oh, yeah.
Ripped from out of the wasteland. He's bad, he's beautiful, he's crazy. It's...
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charles, the International.
It's the sporting manager for the Heart of Racing, Aston Martin Racing Team at IMSA. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
So, folks, I got to tell on Paul here. This is really inside baseball. But you wonder what a sporting manager does between those precious 2 or 3 weeks when his season ends and his season begins in Daytona, which is what, next week, Paul? Week after.
Week after, yeah.
Week after in Daytona for the 24, right? So Paul's already back at work. But what does he do to relax from the hectic, as he might say, schedule, right? What does he do? Oh, he just knocks a hole in the side of his house and puts a new door in here and then puts a new wall here. And he's a chef. He's a race car driver. He's a sporting manager of a racing team. He's a home remodeler. What doesn't this guy do, Paul?
I don't know. When I started off, my first ever job was cleaning windows, so I did that too.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
that is
no,
nice.
it's fun. It's fun to do projects sometimes. You really have to think about it. You know, putting in a door frame is kind of like balancing a Mercedes, I think. You know, you move one thing and everything, it screws everything else up. So
Yeah.
you know, you gotta. Okay, nobody move. Everything is square. Zip it up. Let's go.
Nails. Yeah. I know. Yeah. For whatever reason, everything likes right angles. I don't know why.
Yeah, but door frames, man, they're just...
Oh, I know.
One little thing, you're like, what? This thing's broken. Then you just move one little thing, a couple of millimeters, and it's like, oh, it's good now.
I know. Next thing you know, you've worn off your skid blocks too much and you're disqualified.
Then
It's
you're
amazing.
disqualified and you go home in shame.
Yeah. Feel much shame. Much shame. Well, Paul and I are here tonight to review the 2025 FIA Formula One season. And we're going to do it and what a season. And we're going to do it just the way we always do it, folks. We're going to review each team and driver as they finish in constructors. We'll go down and we'll share our opinions. And I've even gone so far as to give them a little rank out of 1 out of 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And I've ranked them. However, just for note, they're ranked contextually within themselves, okay? So it's not like, well, Lando 1 and McLaren 1, so they're 10 out of 10, and everybody else is a scale below that. It's contextual out of their own world and their own role. Otherwise, Alpine would have 0 and 0, right? But
Deservedly so.
yes, right. But not so much for Pierre. I didn't give him a
Not
0
Pierre,
out of
no,
10,
no,
obviously.
not the driver.
Right. So,
No,
yeah.
that's
So just so there's no confusion on my rating system here. I'm just saying. It's, I'm going for the feels here, Paul. So anyway, let's start off the sharp end. We'll start right off with Grace's team, McLaren. Completed a historic double by retaining the Constructors' Championship and delivering their first Drivers' Championship since 2008. The papaya cars were usually, not always, the quickest package. Despite leading both championships early on, McLaren's title run was not the smoothest. And he had that oil leak induced retirement at the Dutch Grand Prix that kind of broke their long reliability streak. That caught everybody off guard. And then their strategy blunders late in the year nearly cost them both titles. And then you had the Las Vegas Grand Prix, both cars disqualified with the excessive skid blank wear. Then you had Qatar that allowed Max to really close down that 104-point deficit. Nonetheless, the team's fast car and exceptional pit work by the team ensured that they did finish 364 points ahead of Mercedes, took the constructors' title in a 24-race season, including 14 wins. My overall team rating, 9 out of 10. I couldn't give them a 10 out of 10. They had some blunders in there that that prevented me. I probably could have went 8 out of 10, but anyway, 9 out of 10 for me. What'd you think as a team overall, Paul?
I would have gone lower than 9 out of 10. I think how do you judge the team, right? Because the team designed a car that could beat everybody. They built the car of the year, right? They built the car. They got a great lineup, so that obviously enhanced their manufacturer's points. And so from the technical side, I think everything was really good. But from the race strategy, race weekend operations, I think they did, as Grace likes to say, shoot themselves in the foot. They made some big errors that put their drivers in jeopardy of not winning the drivers' championship. And as I said, they just had such a dominant car that wasn't in peril at all, no matter what mistakes they made. But they definitely did not run a flawless season. It seemed like the second half of the season was a little more shaky than the beginning. Yeah, for sure. They started off really strong and then really struggled to hold that Red Bull off. Right, for sure. But like you said, shot themselves in the foot for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the Red Bull pressure and the max pressure on their drivers made them make some errors. Right, they made them make some quick calls that with a cool mind you wouldn't have made. Yeah. They need to analyze themselves in there because they don't know what they're going to have next year, or are they going to have the dominant car? Probably not. They might have just as. Who knows who's going to have the dominant car next year? So this was their season, or their second season, to really build on everything they've designed and built up for, and they ended up getting ultimately everything they wanted, but it was a little shaky there at the end. Yeah, it was nip and tuck, wasn't it? Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the drivers. You got Lando, world champion. Lando delivered consistency this year eventually. He started off, Oscar had that early season run on him, then really kind of turned that corner and just started delivering more consistency, really kind of after the Dutch Grand Prix and that DNF. Finished on the podium 18 times, winning 8 races. His victory in Monaco really marked McLaren's first win there since, 2008, if memory serves correctly. And he overcame the reliability issue at the Dutch Grand Prix, had that costly disqualification at Las Vegas, that clash in Austin, which cost him both. That was tough. Despite the strategy missteps in Qatar, Lando really did, in the second half of that season, I thought he kept his cool really well and sealed the championship with the third place in Abu Dhabi. I think he had a great season. He really did. There was a lot of discussion going, all year long. Well, is he, he doubts himself, or he lacks confidence, or whatever it might be that he was struggling with. But he seemed to really dig deep, and for the second half when he came on, he was consistent and looked nearly flawless, really, towards the end. But those minor mistakes early on, I gave him a 9 out of 10. I just thought it prevented it from being a perfect season for him. But I think, in context, I think he had a really, really good season, great drive. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a perfect season. I mean, we've never doubted that he and Oscar have championship capabilities. We have doubted that he had the mental, or had matured enough to have the mental integrity to be able to nail it every race weekend, and he definitely did. But it was really impressive how he did turn it around. It's nearly like when Oscar started falling apart, Norris just came on strong, and apart from, of course, that illegal pass in the last race of the season, but on Yuki, apart from that one, he actually drove a near perfect end to the season, even though the McLaren wasn't necessarily the car to have at that moment. It was definitely, had its times, but they were definitely under pressure from the Red Bull at that point, so it wasn't easy. And of course, he didn't even win the last race of the year to win the championship. But I admire immensely the ability to dig deep and turn things around mentally. And he was definitely mentally strong definitely than his teammate, but definitely more consistently mentally strong than we've ever seen Lando, and which is why, he deserves the World Championship. I mean, a World Championship is always going to be team influenced, as well as team championships are always going to be driver influenced. You've got to have the right car underneath you. He had the car with more potential than the Red Bull did. But that's what all champions end up doing. They find their way into the place they need to be. They work with the team to make that car a dominant car. It's not just the engineers. The drivers have to have an influence on that as well, so they have the just desserts to deserve the accolades when they win with that car.
Right. And he made a point afterwards of saying he knows other drivers, like Max and others, and how they go racing and stuff. But he was proud that he did it his way. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. If I'm reading between the lines, he did it in a way that wasn't just, flat out banging wheels, aggressive, eye of the tiger kind of way that you've seen Max do it, or you've seen Lewis do it, or pick one, Schumacher, Alonso. Vettel. They've all gone at it, hammer and tongs, and
absolutely.
He wasn't. He was saying, that isn't his comfort level, and I think of Nico Rosberg when he won the title and immediately retired, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said, but it was kind of like what it took for him mentally to go hand to hand with Lewis and everything was a level that he wasn't comfortable with continuing, if that's what it took to win the championship. And that's why he retired. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines. And it makes me think Lando's comments are something similar, if that's what it takes. I don't know if that's got him in that comfort zone, which makes your point all the more prescient, which is he did find that sort of eye of the tiger in this last half of the season, super consistent, flat out every single lap. He found that, just like Rosberg did to win the championship. Yeah. The question will have, can he continue that, right? Because that takes a level of mentality. That's why Max gets a lot of praise, because he is able to compartmentalize that and be an absolute warrior on track. And not every driver is, right?
And as I said, he won it on his own terms, which I would lead to believe that, yes, he can repeat that performance again. And now he's won a championship. Mm-hmm. No championships are easy. But now he understands what happens during a season enables you to win a championship. And it's kind of like a long distance, like winning Le Mans. Right. Everything from hour 1 to hour 23 plays a part. How big a part, and where you need to be at that moment to ultimately be across the finish line first, is something you gain from experience. And now his experience winning the championship, just like winning his first race, it does come a little easier. I'm not saying he can do it again, because I don't know what car he's going to be driving.
Yeah, right.
But I think mentally he will be more ready to repeat that performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's talk about Oscar. He continued his rapid progression, really, winning 7 races, pushing Norris and Verstappen really all year. Oscar had that whole series of wins where he was really on song, and that was early in the season, sort of a season of two halves for Oscar. Started off really strong, winning that spate of races there. In reality, though, it was a season of two halves, and the first half being much stronger than the second. He won 6 races up until the Belgian Grand Prix, but it seems like after that the wheels fell off his season from that point on, and at least Lando found his, I don't know if it was his season collapsed or the pressure, or was it really Lando finding his mojo and being able to just do that much better? Was it a combination of the two? Despite Lando's DNF Dutch Grand Prix, Oscar didn't feature for a win after that. And after the Dutch Grand Prix, that shock in Baku where he hit the wall a couple times, and it seemed like a real turning point for him, that was a bit odd to watch. It's difficult to watch that collapse of a season because I thought he was on a roll. And he was, and I think he did have a great season, barring a couple unforced errors. And I gave him an 8 out of 10. He matured into a real title contender this season for sure. A few errors. He had some team strategy calls that cost him. Wasn't his fault. It's hard to slight Oscar because I think he had a really, really good year. It's just that I'm not quite sure how to explain that sort of mid-season slump that dragged to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think he came out of it near the end, but it was too little, too late. Mm-hmm. And which I think bodes better for him for next year. He's like, if he had finished the season as he was finishing with the Bakus and all that kind of stuff, if he just continued that, I don't know what I'd say about it. But he did turn around. But I just don't know what made it begin because I mean, I was if I had $100 in my pocket, I'd laid it on Oscar Piastri to win the championship. I mean, till that slump, and I don't know what caused the slump, and that's something because if there's anyone that wasn't going to kind of going to be consistent and not kind of crumble, I would have said it was Oscar Piastri. I mean, he's won championship after championship in everything he's run. Obviously, when you get to Formula One, it gets a little bit harder, but he's won championships. He's won a lot of races. He knows what it takes, and obviously these guys, everything they've done their whole lives is to get to the chance to try and win a Formula One World Championship. And so it's something that he's learned about himself. Yeah. And his managers learned about him that, whatever he shows on the outside isn't necessarily everything that's going on the inside. And I think it caught him by surprise. And so he didn't know how to react to it or how to come back out of it because he didn't know what got him there. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of internal looking and analyzing why that happened. It wasn't a team thing. It was definitely an Oscar thing. So I was disappointed he didn't keep it going, but he's still got a long time ahead of him to right that wrong. And as much as I said that Lando won the championships, now it's going to be easier if he gets that opportunity again and he can understand a little bit more what it takes. Hopefully on the downside, you grow stronger by sometimes your mistakes. And so hopefully this is something that also puts him in a better stead for a proper championship run without this little dip in performance in the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think same rules apply for Oscar. I think he knows what it takes to win a title now because he's been at the sharp end fighting for that title, and he knows where he dropped the ball and where he didn't. Probably a heck of a lot of lessons in a season like that for a guy like. And I think the surprising thing for some people was that he just, on the surface, from what you see on the outside looking in, is he just didn't seem to be that kind of personality that could easily have his cage rattled.
No, right.
He just is such a cool, calm head, and I think everybody's like really surprised he put it in the wall twice, and it was kind of like, whoa, that just doesn't seem like Oscar,
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Very uncharacteristic. And you say, well, is it? Yeah. I mean, we've got a few seasons with him now, and it's just not something you were expecting to see out of Oscar. Yeah. So, all right, let's go to Mercedes. From the team's perspective, they bounced back from 2, I would say, lean years to finish second, which is great. The 2025 car was more consistent than last year's for sure, but it still lacked that consistent pace that they needed. George Russell really led the team, won in Canada and Singapore. Rookie Kimi Antonelli gradually improved over the season. The team only failed to score points once, avoided major reliability issues, which is great. And then they did this experimental rear suspension design that seemed to, by all reports I've read, in mid-season, that seemed to kind of hurt the car a little bit, and the car still trailed McLaren's in pace. Overall, I think it was a step forward, but certainly not a title-winning package, and so I give him a 7 out of 10 from a team perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're the second best team or car on the track, but they had a stronger pairing and they vaulted them from probably a third best car to a second, right?
Agreed, totally.
Even with their rookie driver, he definitely performed well enough to back up Georgie. I mean, he got half the points George did, but he scored
But it was
enough.
120 more than Yuki.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's a difference. Otherwise, you'd see Red Bull in second here.
Absolutely. Red Bull should have been in second, but it just didn't happen. But so for them, I mean, I think it was a surprise for them to be in second, so they should be really happy about it. We know that Mercedes, are full on developing for the new car.
Yeah.
So they're not going to spend an arm and a leg and all their time to do anything this year. So I think they outperformed what probably was their expectations. And they put in had some cars that ran really, really fast, at certain tracks. They weren't consistent from track to track, but that's kind of been their MO for the past 3 years, I would say. But the upside was more up than they've been. And George definitely kind of helped that along. But I think as a cohesive group, it's an interesting driver pairing. The driver to team relations is also very interesting between the two drivers, back to Toto and the group. So to me, I don't know. I feel a little uncomfortable with Mercedes demeanor, or however you want to call it, the aura coming out of it. It just doesn't seem fully knit, so to speak. I
agree. There's something there in there. There's a residue. I can't put my finger on it exactly.
Yeah.
But there is a residue there. And that prolonged driver contract negotiation with George Russell was incredibly odd.
Right.
So strange. And the instant love for Kimi, by all accounts, justified. I mean, Kimi had a good year for sure, and he's an exceptional talent. But there's this residue that is going on there.
Yeah.
And it's,
I mean, you called it from the beginning about Toto not really appreciating the talents of George Russell. George Russell, I think he has a hard time being anyone's favorite to some degree.
I would agree.
He kind of sometimes feels like he's playing a role, and I'm not sure I don't think Toto's ever been 100% on him, but George is a very good driver, and Toto really doesn't have a better option.
He doesn't have Max.
Else, but I think he was looking for one, right?
Yeah, he was.
Those contract negotiations, he was trying.
I think he was.
And that's got to hurt the inter-team balance, right?
Yeah,
and
so how much
Kimi
of the...
coming in...
I was just going to say, so how much of that... I'm going to go out on the wall here. I don't know if what he's like personally.
Yeah.
How much of that prickly personality and everything is just him, because I think you put it really, when you see him, he's kind of like switched on, and he's like media guy, it's almost like a role that he's playing, but it's not the real him, and you can sense that, whether it's true or not. That's what you can sense, right? And how much of that is because of this weird relationship he has with this team that isn't 100% sold on him, or are they not 100% sold on him because of his personality? I don't know. It's like chicken and egg, right?
Yeah, because the most comfortable place you should feel is in your own team. But
I know.
I don't think he can let his guard down even when the doors are shut.
Yeah.
Because I think he feels threatened all the time.
Yeah.
And as I said, just his personality, can be something, but he always seems to really think about what he says and says them for a reason to get a reaction out of everyone else rather than just reacting to a situation. And Kimi's nearly the opposite, right? He is. He's all passion.
Oh, hard on sleeve.
I think those guys are chalk and cheese, right? And
they are.
So
they are.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now let's talk about him. Let's start with George. He certainly, I would say, he embraced the leadership role after Lewis's departure. I don't know if the team made that easy for him, if I'm honest, to seize that leadership role. I think he definitely, all right, I'm the leader of the team. We got this junior rookie. I'm the leader of the team. I don't know, the outpouring of instant love for Kimi and all that stuff, and then the prolonged contract. Like I said, I don't know what he's like personally, but look, you can't ignore what he's doing on track. Mm-hmm. And I've said this, like you said, I've said this all along, even before they should have brought him in Mercedes 2 years earlier. But you can't ignore what he's doing. He scored 9 podiums, 1 in Canada and Singapore, claimed pole position in Spain and Las Vegas in this car, which you and I agree wasn't the second best car in the grid. Right. His qualifying speed, his racecraft was on point. He kept Mercedes ahead of Ferrari and Red Bull for much of the year in the constructors. I mean, it's just consistent. He maximized the opportunities. He had some occasional errors, like the collision with Verstappen and that kind of thing, but that kept him out of the title fight. But it kept Mercedes in second overall. He had 319 points. I gave him an 8 out of 10 on the season. I realize he's personality-wise, he's playing a role, or he's fake, or he's not genuine, or whatever it might be, or maybe he's a prickly customer to deal with, or who knows. But you can't argue what he's doing on track, Paul.
No, you cannot. I mean, he I think, thoroughly deserves an 8 out of 10 for what he does on track. I think, and he does it quietly sometimes. He drives some impressive runs and does some impressive things in that car, and it doesn't seem to impress on other people either. But you're like, George just did that. He won those 2 races. I mean, he can really wheel a car, and he understands a car. And he can run a race too. As I said, his relationship with his team over the radio and something is still a little bit odd, but he definitely does the job in the car and I think he's got a good engineering mind, because I think he's worked side by side with all the team to turn these things around, because they have had some downtimes with porpoising cars and all this kind of stuff, and I think he kind of takes it very well when the car is struggling. I'm not saying he just lays over and go, oh, everything's great, but I think he does approach it very well, and he attacks it to try and turn the team around and the car around. And when he does have a really good car, he's freaking a pretty awesome driver.
Fast. He is fast. And I sometimes wonder, Paul, if this isn't a case of just, look, his personality is what it is. And, maybe it just doesn't mesh that well with what Toto was wanting or whatever. Right. But maybe he's a complete jerk to deal with in contract nego. Who knows? I feel like this is a guy who just needs to find the right team. Nigel Mansell wasn't the easiest personality to negotiate around, right? Right. But when he found his team, it worked, right? Yeah. And I just wonder sometimes if George just needs to find the team. It was almost like McLaren and Honda. They could just never see eye to eye. And I said, before they even announced they were leaving, if they go to Red Bull's personality type will work with Honda. It'll make it work. And they did, right? And so I'm saying that about George now. It may not be at Mercedes, which is his best chance. I don't know. They could come out with a killer car next year, and it is.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
But I kind of wonder if there isn't another team that he personality-wise could gel with more, where he feels comfortable and appreciated as a team leader. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he would fit in elsewhere.
I don't either.
But as I said, it's tough when you're driving to the end of the season without a contract. If you're the number one, we're building the team around you, George. Well, but we're not going to give you like 3 years in a row. Yeah,
and until we find out if Max is coming or not, then we'll get back to you. It's sort of that thing. I don't know. It's tough.
that must have been really
that stung. I don't care who you are. They can all play it down, but that stung. We know that.
It did, and that's a very uncomfortable place to be for everybody, really.
Yeah, it is. It is. Let's talk about Kimi. Highly rated rookie for all the right reasons. A little bit of a roller coaster debut for him. Early races included a few DNFs. Had some first lap collision with Verstappen in Austria. However, he did score his first podium in Brazil, followed with second in Las Vegas and a third in Singapore. His qualifying pace definitely improved as the season went on. He got better at that. And he re-signed for 2026. So hard to argue with that. I thought, on balance, Paul, he had that slump, kind of like Oscar did mid-season. But kind of as you intimated with Oscar, I think he pulled himself out of it. Mm-hmm. And towards the latter part of the season, I think he looked much better. I thought it was a really solid rookie season. He's 19 years old. Had big highs. Some erratic starts and a few penalties. You'd expect that from a rookie, certainly with his experience. I thought on balance, he did a great job because he was there, scored enough points to get coupled with George's to get them in second, the constructors. I think he did his job. He did it really well.
No, he did. And obviously, I guess he got a short-term contract initially because he had to prove himself.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you on the side from Toto and the team, they're really willing him on and doing a lot of things behind the scenes to educate him and focus him on the things he needs to do to be better and better and better. And I think the whole team rallied around him. And he put in the work too.
Yeah, for sure.
To understand what it's like to be a Formula One driver, understand the car, how to get the most out of the tires, everything. It's going to be an up and down season for a rookie. Absolutely. Yeah. But I think he definitely proved his worth to be in Formula One. I think he's very lucky to be in that team for his first run in Formula One. But, that's what he's achieved somehow to get that opportunity. And I don't think he disappointed at all. I think it was a pretty successful year. And he's just going to come on stronger than that, right? I mean, really, by the end of the season, he was in the top 4, say, over the past. I mean, he was right there, and George was struggling a little bit against him. So even though he only scored half the points, he scored a lot more points at the end of the season than he did at the beginning, which is really good trajectory. Really good for him for the future,
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I thought it was a really good. A lot of people talk about Rookie of the Year and who you'd pick. He's got to be a contender. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a very strong season on balance. Let's talk about Red Bull. Red Bull's 25 season, really, again, a tale of two halves. The RB20, what is it, 21 now? Whatever the model is. Very unpredictable and unstable early in the year. The team's second driver problems continued with Liam Lawson was replaced by Yuki Tsunoda after a couple of races. Max was out-qualified by McLaren, but still won in Japan and Imola. They brought this upgrade, introduced at Monza, that seemingly transformed that car. And Max then won 5 of the last 8 or 6 of the last 9, something like that. Sorry, I didn't do the math. Just absolutely turned the season around for him. He was over 100-point deficit to the leaders and turned that around and only missed the championship by 2 points. He also had complete leadership upheaval at the team with Christian Horner departing mid-season. They fired him. You had Adrian Newey left. Then at the end of the season, you have Helmut Marko leaving. But besides that, and they had that whole second seat issue, right? It kind of prevented their 5th title. So I think it was a brilliant recovery. But a very poor first half, and all the internal turmoil didn't help things at all. So I would say on balance, I gave him a 7 out of 10. I think this is a team who's used to winning championships, and to get ensnared and wrapped around the axle with all the intra-team drama and all that boardroom battles between, Dietrich's son and, Ollie and all that stuff with Chris. It's just, what a mess. What a big cock-up for a team who's won 4 championships, It's not, I'm not saying it's the men and women at the team's fault. I just think, it was a ragged year, but certainly not from Max's perspective.
From the corporation side, for sure. And you don't know how much that influenced things, because I'm sure, they found something, they fixed the car. And when they did fix the car, they didn't really make a big deal about it, actually.
No, they didn't.
They kept that low.
It's like,
figured it out, but don't tell anyone, because they might.
Now we're winning races now.
Yeah, Max
How'd that happen?
I'm not going to win a race the rest of the year, and all of a sudden he's winning every race.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure they're kicking themselves as they didn't find it sooner, but
exactly.
maybe they didn't find it sooner because of all the turmoil.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton. I mean, just think, doesn't even seem like it was this year that the whole Christian Horner, all this stuff, the people. I mean, it was just crazy. Everything was in the news about Red Bull, and it wasn't because they were winning races.
I know.
So you got to think that maybe delayed them from finding that solution, because of a lot of musical chairs going on in the team. But for them to find it and be so dramatic, and as I said, they played it close to the chest too, that they'd found something.
Did.
It was as bad as it began. They'd get a 10 out of 10 for the second half of the season.
Oh, it's a 180, right?
But except for, they've got to lose a demerit point because they can't put two quick cars and drivers on the track, and that's why they didn't, really take it to McLaren. I mean, I don't think they could have taken it to McLaren even if they had two strong drivers, but they would have been a lot damn closer.
Probably second in the constructors.
And definitely McLaren wouldn't have, Mercedes wouldn't have had a look in P2. I mean, Red Bull are there to win every time, so they wouldn't have been happy with second as much as third. But,
right.
They have to figure out what's going on, and that's got to be a big focus. I mean, you can't just keep saying, oh, well, the second seat's jinxed. No, you need to fix that, because it's not witchcraft out there. It's discipline, it's organization, it's decision making to have two quick cars and two quick drivers supporting the team manufacturers, hunt for the championship.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, absolutely. Let's talk about Max. Despite losing the title, delivered arguably his best driving yet with 15 podium finishes, won 8 races, scored pole at Suzuka with a lap. Many considered one of his greatest laps at Suzuka. It was stunning. He lost points due to collisions, Barcelona and Austria. Very unstable car early on. Like we mentioned with the upgrades, he dominated late season. Absolutely dominated. Finished just 2 points from Norris. You can't ignore. You can dislike Max, you can hate Max, you can not like his personality, you can not like his hair, whatever. But you cannot ignore what he did in an inferior car. It's just sublime. It really is a supreme performance, let down by early car issues and some contact that he had early on. But at the end of the day, I just think it was a 9 out of 10. It was just an incredible season of recovery, really. And we would say, well, it's how good is a driver when he doesn't have the best car. Pretty damn good.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't give him a 10 out of 10, but I'm giving it pretty close. Yeah, honestly, It's not just what he did when the car turned around. It's what he did when the car wasn't turned around.
Yeah,
he was somehow, grappling for points and finding ways to be competitive, even when the car wasn't. And I know he came back from 100-plus deficit, but he wouldn't have been even close to that if he hadn't been pulling those miracles out, finishing thirds and fourths and sevenths or whatever.
Right.
When the car had no business being there, it was a handful, and only Max was able to get anything out of it, and the second drivers struggled even more when the car was like that, and just kind of nearly destroyed another driver's career again, right?
Right.
So it's I don't know how to. I would say it was his best season ever, even though he didn't win the world championship, because of
I wouldn't argue
everything
with that.
he went through, and how he rallied behind the team, and I like his demeanor on the radio. I like how he does things. He's really about the racing. He's not about the glamour. He's not about all of this other stuff.
No.
When he goes home, he's driving on the simulator. When he's not driving the simulator, he's driving a GT3 car or whatever. Racing is everything to him, and that's what he thinks about 100% of the time. And and that's what it takes, and that's why, along with his talent, he's so successful. But I think it was a phenomenal year by him, and he certainly made the championship very, very interesting, even if McLaren were kind of helping him a little bit there.
Yeah, he really did. An incredible season, it really was, and he's just one of those generational talents.
Yep.
He just is. Love him or hate him, he is. He's an incredible driver. I feel sorry for it when he decides to get over into sports car racing. He's going to be a handful over there.
Yeah, he is.
But, anyway, teammate Yuki Tsunoda, promoted from the Racing Bulls after a couple of races, struggled all year long, scored only 30 points with Red Bull. Best finish was maybe 6th in Baku, if I have that right. Verstappen out-qualified him 12-0, beat him 11-1 in races. He had a little bit of a miscommunication, which cost him points in Belgium. That was unfortunate. Far off the pace, though. Expectations were pretty low, but still, he was far off the pace. I gave him a 3 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough seat to fill, but he came in there with confidence. I just think he fools himself. I really do. The things that come out of his mouth about, I was close, I was better here. It's like, no. And until you accept where you're at or what your mistakes or places to improve are, you're just not going to get there. And you just didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by it. I know Grace is a fanboy. She was expecting more.
She is.
Right? But I don't like his demeanor on the radio. He was a little better here, but I think he was humbled by how far off he was and how he just couldn't get the results. You can go to an individual race and say, oh, well, the team made a little mistake here and there. Well, they do that. That goes across the board for all the drivers, right? You don't ever get the perfect calls every time. You don't get the perfect position on the track during a qualifying. The main thing to judge people on is their full body of work over the season, and his was piss poor, as we like to call it. It wasn't good. It was left wanting. He was promoted too quickly. They reacted too quickly to Lawson. The team didn't look inside themselves and understand where the challenges were and why Lawson was struggling so much at the beginning anyway. And comparing to whatever was happening with Max and Max's experience and his skill level. So, he definitely wasn't an upgrade. I would say they downgraded themselves by upgrading him.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not convinced at all that Liam Lawson couldn't have scored 30 points during that whole season.
I would say he would score more. For sure.
I'm
I think
sorry,
Lawson would have been a better choice.
Yeah, I think Lawson. You should have just lived and died with Lawson in that year. Give him a year to give it a shot. I think moving him was a bad idea.
I think with Yuki, the team, because they'd made that decision so early, and I'm sure they wanted to try somebody else, but at that point they were just like, just forget it. We'll just finish out the year.
Yeah. Which is an odd decision when you're going for Constructors' Championship.
It is. It is an odd. But maybe they didn't have the faith they were going to turn it around, and they didn't.
Maybe. Let's talk about Ferrari. After finishing close second in 24, they suffered a major decline in 25. The car was difficult to set up. Charles Leclerc likened its performance to having zero grip and said keeping it on track was extremely difficult. The team failed to win a Grand Prix. Their only victory was Lewis Hamilton's sprint in China. Both cars were disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix on plank wear and weight infringements, which set kind of a negative tone, Paul, for an already negative season. They ultimately switched development focus to 26 very early in the season. Overall rating, it pains me to say, is a 5 out of 10. A disappointing year mitigated by podiums and an eye to the future, basically, is where they were at. Very difficult season.
Yeah, it was a very difficult season, and driver team relationships were
strained,
a little edgy. Yeah, a little edgy on both sides, really, not just Lewis, but
Charles has had it too. Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on there with the team, and why it happened, we don't know, but they definitely fell off the map there with competitiveness, and it was tough, and probably they recognized it early enough where hopefully this benefits their next iteration of their Formula One car because they need it.
Big time.
Yeah, and just bringing in Lewis and getting rid of Carlos, obviously it's a lot. It changes everything in the team a lot. It's not like you're changing Carlos for Albon, or you know what I'm saying. Bringing Lewis into the team is a whole different package.
Yeah.
Lewis's expectations, everyone's expectations of Lewis.
Right.
Yeah, of the teammate situation. Do they get along? Do they? Is Charles under threat? And if he's not under threat, how is Hamilton dealing with this thing? And we saw all of that, and we didn't see a cohesive team unit pushing forward. We've seen it before that if a team's kind of fallen back, the team need to rally together, forget their individual, aims and successes. They need to work together to move everybody forward, and it just didn't work. It just didn't happen, and it just got worse, quite honestly, rather than better.
Yeah, it totally did. From Charles's standpoint, clearly the stronger driver, taking 7 podiums, finishing second in Monaco and Mexico City, outqualified Hamilton 19-5, dominated the race head-to-head over Hamilton. He suffered from just the car inconsistency, high tire wear. It was a brutal car to drive, and he tried to politely explain that. Very difficult to do. I think he was over-delivering, if I'm honest, with the podiums, and I gave him an 8 out of 10. I think he maximized the car's potential, but never challenged for wins because the car never had the potential for it.
No, it didn't, and I still think some of the suffering has to do with the teammate situation, where with Carlos Sainz alongside, they worked together well, and they could have maybe helped develop the car a bit better. Yeah. So maybe that says something about Charles's inability to put that process on his shoulders alone, because with the teammate being new to the team, they're just trying to figure that out till they get to the point where they're starting to help develop the car, really.
Right.
So it was really on his shoulders from the beginning, and so that might be something that Charles needs to look at himself as to how to be a little bit better in that development side, and maybe it wasn't possible to do it, but looking from the outside in, you could say, that may have been a point, and they gave up on the season early because they couldn't make any progress with the car, whether it be feedback from the driver, etc. He does do some great drives, and the problem with Charles is he's always having the weight of Ferrari on his shoulders.
I know.
He's not rarely in a car that can dominate and he can relax. He's always trying to make something out of nothing or something more out of something decent, Yeah. So he's definitely, and that causes him to make mistakes, and he does have successes, obviously, but he also has mistakes and struggles. It'll be interesting to see how he would ever perform if he ended up in a car like the McLaren, that literally you don't have to, grip the steering wheel with all your might and just try and force everything every weekend.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I agree. Gotta think he's maybe eyeballing Aston Martin at this point.
Yeah.
He's looking at Fernando's seat. All right, let's talk about Lewis. His first season with Ferrari is probably, I would argue, his toughest season in F1.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal for him. He managed a sprint win in China, but never reached the podium in a Grand Prix. With 4th places in Imola, Austria, and Silverstone as his best result. Really struggled with qualifying, exiting Q1 4 times late in the year. And both drivers were disqualified in China. Despite adapting slowly, he did produce some very strong recovery drives, such as rising from 19th to 8th in Las Vegas. There were some... I gave him a 6 out of 10, Paul, because he just couldn't get on top of anything. Couldn't get the communication relationship heated up between him and his race engineer. It's below his standards, but sure. He did show real flashes of brilliance in an underperforming car like Charles did. He did have those moments. There was that flash of Lewis Hamilton there, won the sprint, came from 19th to finish 8th. You're like, ooh, the last couple of races he looked pretty racy. So it's there. but certainly below his standards.
Yeah, it was a big ask though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To come from a team he'd been with for a decade or more maybe, and just think he's going to be coming in at the same level. I mean, Ferrari do things differently. I know it's modern. We're a modern, but Ferrari, the Italians, they always do things a little differently. Gets a little frustrating sometimes. Probably, you couldn't be more disparate between German and Italian.
Right.
How about organizing things, right? So I think it was a big adjustment for him, and he's obviously not at the peak of his career. I still think he's got a lot of talent, and he still can really produce it, as you said. He put in some good performances maybe at the end of the year when he was a bit more comfortable with it. But to throw all those things into a bucket and expect to come out there dominating was a big ask, I think. Maybe next year, hopefully the car is a bit more up for it, and he can, wipe the slate clean. We talked about it several times during the season. The relationship between him and his engineer seemed bizarre. It seemed like a blind. It seemed like a blind date every race.
It did.
Yeah,
it did.
How are you? Oh, no, you first. Yes. Yeah. So, what do you do for a living? But it was. That was bizarre, and I think either something needs to change there.
Yeah.
And that.
Guess they need to go poach Bono.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And Lewis, we've never seen him so downtrodden. He has his emotional moments up and down, frustrations over a season, but I've never seen him so despondent and just like he basically gave up. But on track, sometimes he doesn't give up, but maybe he's just fed up with the constant beatdown over the microphone in the interviews, which you can fully understand.
Yeah.
But definitely what we saw with the helmet off was just a Lewis that just didn't even want to be there.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it doesn't mean he doesn't want to race. He just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, he didn't want to be in the situation he's in. Yeah, for sure. I agree. Let's talk about Williams. Williams continued their resurgence, finishing fifth. The car was competitive from the start. You had Alex Albon scoring 3 top 5 finishes in the opening 7 races. Former Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz struggled initially. And I thought, this could be interesting, but he was prepared for that. He said he's not walking in thinking he's going to immediately get podiums and that kind of thing like he was a Ferrari. So he was prepared for that, but he scored some terrific podiums in Azerbaijan and Qatar, which is terrific. The team suffered a double disqualification for qualifying in Singapore and 4 DNFs each for each driver, but their strong baseline allowed them to hold off the Racing Bulls. Overall, Paula gave him an 8 out of 10, an impressive midfield leader with a lot of room to polish operations and improve, knowing that they're squarely focused on 2026 and have been the last 2 seasons. And I think overall, you got to hand it to Williams. They were at the back. And James and team, the men and women of that team, have really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, brought in Carlos. They have Alex. They've risen to P5 in the championship. What's not to be excited about for this team?
Yeah, I mean, apart from maybe the funding that McLaren have versus Williams, it's very similar to what we saw the McLaren turnaround, right?
Yeah,
I mean, super impressive because I think James Vowles gets the maximum out of everything he's given. I don't think they have everything, but I think he also knows how to ask and put his hand out and say, hey, we need this. If you want us to win, we need this, this, and this. And when they give him these tools, they see the improvement. So,
right,
from the boardroom looking down, it's like, how do we not give this guy everything we can possibly give him? Give him Carlos Sainz at the right time. Give him the wind tunnel, whatever, because he maximizes everything. And that guy's, if my son will ask me, what's my favorite F1 team, and I'm never really an F1 team fan, but if I'm going to have to pick one, it's Williams, because I love, obviously they've got a big history, but I just love what they've done since James Vowles has been there, from the desperate times of being the laughing joke of the of the grid to literally being the head of the midfield in a very, very short time. Very, very difficult to do in Formula One. So, how can you not give them 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
And we don't, and as you said, even more impressive because they're obviously got a lot riding on the new rules.
Yep.
And they have spent a lot of their capacity on the new rules and did a super impressive job with what they had and what they were working with.
Exactly.
So, I'm not sure what the expectation is for them next year, but
I don't know.
It's higher than where they are, for me.
Yeah,
And I'm excited for Carlos, who must have been extremely dejected to be kicked out and of Ferrari for Lewis.
Yeah.
And he's just fallen in a catbird seat with the team on the rise because he jumped out the team that's basically sliding down
exactly
the rankings. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it shouldn't go overlooked on just how difficult it is to do what James and all the men and women at that team, the entire team, what they've done in 2 seasons. You think, oh, well, it's like the F1 movie, it's driving the back and you just win a race.
Just make a car for combat. That's
make a car for combat. That's it. Don't get me started. That doesn't happen. And in order to do what they've done takes a Herculean effort. It really, really does. It just doesn't. It's a testament to all the men and women of that team, how they've turned that all around with James. And kudos, I can't give James enough applause. He's done an amazing job. And all the men and women there have. And they've bought into the program. They've bought into the system. And they're all on it, 100%. They're excited. They're moving up. They're P5 in the Constructors' Championship. It's just what a great story. I'm just so excited for that
and I think James is the guy that's getting those people to, to pull at all, such a high level.
Yeah.
He keeps them inspired, and he's an inspiring guy, I'd go jump in a icy lake if he said, he was going to give us an extra tenth. It's like, okay, James, I'm off.
It's so true.
That's what it's like.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone listening, you've met people or had bosses or leaders or whatever. Some of those you wouldn't follow across the street. And others have inspired you to do things you didn't think you were capable of, and that's what I think James does. I
believe so.
Yeah, he really does. Let's talk about Alex. Started strong, often out qualifying. Carlos obviously finishing ahead of Carlos, reaching Q3 regularly, scored in 14 races. But then, like Oscar, just the wheels seemed to fall off. He faded after the summer break. Some unforced errors began to look quite junior compared to Sainz, which for me was real surprising. I even mentioned during a couple of race reviews, I'm starting to question the whole Albon magic here with all the unforced errors. You could hear it in his frustration on the radio, yelling at the team. I don't know what happened there, but for those reasons, I gave him a 7 out of 10. It was solid, but inconsistent, and he should have converted that early pace into podiums like Carlos did in the latter part of the season, but just failed to do it.
Yeah, and to me, absolutely called it as the season went for him. And behind the scenes, I'm just thinking, you're Alex Albon. For the past couple of years, you've been the number one guy, not even threatened by your team, your fellow driver, right? Me, Alex, and James. We're going to do this together. And then the team went up to a certain level. They got Carlos Sainz on the team, which was a big thing to do. Carlos is obviously going to struggle a little bit. He's just trying to figure how everything works around there, where the bathrooms are, I don't think he struggles as a driver. But it takes a while to get yourself entrenched in there. And I think, so the first half of the season was fairly easy, unthreatened for Alex. But as soon as Carlos comes on and starts putting the points on the board, it's what do you do, Alex? How do you react to this? And it seemed like it got a bit too much for him, really. We heard it on the radio. It's like I don't like Yuki on the radio, but I just don't like how he talks on the radio. Not necessarily from a team to driver, oh, you're demeaning the team. It's just he just says the wrong things at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And he complains about the wrong things at the wrong time. And some of the things I think he complains about are things that he brought on himself.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think it is something it was teammate influenced, and Carlos probably brought a lot of ideas to the team, and Alex doesn't have any new ideas.
Right.
He's in the team, right?
He's in the
Carlos
team.
He's got the fresh air. He's got this new idea. Oh, let's try that, Carlos. And maybe even that helps Carlos in the car versus Alex, changing things a little bit. So
yeah, it's probably a different perspective where Carlos is coming in working on the team and Alex is working in the team, in the business. And it is different. So talk about Carlos struggled, like you said, Paul, to adapt early on, but improved dramatically over the season, delivered Williams' first podium since 2017 in Baku, added another in Qatar. Qualified. I think he outqualified Albon pretty handedly over the season. Trailed in the races because of the early performance by Alex. But I think all in all, I think Carlos, I gave him an 8 out of 10. Overcame that slow start, like you mentioned. Any driver would take a while to get his sea legs, and I would think that ramp up period is about as short as you could expect. And he was there, and he's overcome that slow start to really be the team's star performer at this point.
Yeah, and I think he was probably surprised himself. Where the level of the team was, because he joined a team that were pretty lowly, who had potential, and they were the team that could, But he brought a lot to the team in talent in the car, but also in calling things behind the scenes on bringing those levels, bringing those new ideas, bring that inspiration to the team that maybe Alex Albon doesn't do.
Right.
There's a reason Carlos is a big fan favorite, right? He's got a personality that oozes, it's contagious, right? And
my daughter thinks he's dashingly handsome.
Well, very rightly so. And so that brings itself as well. And I think he inspires people, but once again, a person that if you bring them the car and they exceed and then start really giving you results, what's not to love about that, and what's not to re-inspire everyone to keep pushing. And Carlos did it. I mean, he's got to be super happy with where he's at, because
for
he
sure.
was obviously going to a lesser team than where he came from, and was kind of shoved off unceremoniously. So 8 out of 10, absolutely, and the potential is even higher, I feel.
Yeah, I do too. Racing Bulls, Red Bull's junior team, enjoyed, I think, a solid season for them. They had some early disruption. You had Liam, who was demoted to Racing Bulls after a couple of rounds. Yuki moved up to Red Bull. Then you had Alan Permain, took over as the team principal after Laurent Mekies filled in for Horner, who was fired. Rookie Isaac Hadjar was a bit of a revelation this season. He claimed a podium at Zandvoort by qualifying fourth, inherited third with Norris's retirement. Hadjar scored 51 points, comfortable lead, and pretty much had the measure of Lawson in qualifying in the races as well. The worst moment came to Silverstone with both cars crashed out, but there were 9 scoreless weekends for them, but the upgrade package made the car more drivable, more consistent, very encouraging progress, and a good drive by a rookie in Hadjar. 7 out of 10 is what I gave him for his season. To finish 6th in the Constructors' Championship, I thought it was well done, ahead of Aston Martin.
Yeah, no, I think it was very well done. The team was derived to have rookie young drivers in it, so they should be fully ready for how to work within those realms. But I think they did put a good car out. Maybe it's the rookiness that they didn't have. They had 9 scoreless races because the car always seemed to have potential, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
There was a couple of races it wasn't quite so brilliant, but for the most part, it was an overachiever and a surprise everywhere it went. So I think for the team design, putting the car together, running the team, the strategies were really good. They got a lot of Q3 appearances and balancing the 2 drivers. I think it was a well-managed team there was some turmoil, but it wasn't a self-inflicted turmoil. It was turmoil sent down from the big team. But overall, their first year without France toast, right? This was.
Yeah. And kudos to Alan Permain. He's been he's been in the F1 paddock for a long time, and he's been with a lot of teams and was at Renault for a long time. And I think coming into that role and supporting Laurent at that team was good. But then when Laurent got the call and Alan slipped in, the team really didn't seem to miss a beat. And I would say maybe even improved. They had the upgrade. Alan oversaw that. I think the strategy was thereabouts. A couple of missed calls, but he took that on the chin. I think Alan did a great job. He's a guy that doesn't hog the cameras, and he's not in for that team boss drama and stuff like that, which I like about Alan. But I think he did a really good job. Yeah, no bear hugs and talking shit about Horner or anything like that. That's just not what he does. But so. Let's talk about Isaac. Despite his initial race and the crash in the formation lap, his rookie year was outstanding. Great year for him. Took a surprise podium, regularly reached Q3, as I mentioned. He finished ahead of his teammate in both qualifying races. Many consider him Rookie of the Year for sure. It was enough to seal a Red Bull ride for 2026. We know that. I gave him an 8 out of 10. I just put future star, ? And then I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to say time will tell, but I don't know that I'm 100% sold on him yet.
Yeah, I would say that. As I said, the driver team radio thing is one of my little bugbears, right? Obviously, and I definitely lacks on that side of things. Needs to learn a lot and mature a lot of how to behave, and he's going to have to learn that when he's on the Red Bull team. Yeah. And, Kimi Antonelli, I listen to him a fair bit, and he doesn't really say much on the radio. You turn on to Isaac, and you're like, whoa, turn the thing down.
Yeah.
He did perform well. I think it was quite a contrast to how badly his season started as to how he ended up.
Yeah, for sure.
And pretty consistently being very, very competitive in a car that was decent, obviously, to allow him to do that. But I think most weekends he surpassed
delivered
expectations, and did a really, really good job.
Did.
For all his ranting and raving on the microphone, he actually does a pretty significantly mature job on the track, especially in racecraft situations. He definitely knows how to pass somebody. He doesn't bungle his way through it. That's probably, I think, his biggest asset, really, is his composure in traffic.
And probably what Lawson struggles with.
Yes, I would say so. So but he does he's not got all the bullets in the gun yet. And is it maturity? Is it his general attitude? Because some drivers have had a lot of talent in the past, but worked their way out of a good position because of their personality and their approach to their business. So
you're not talking about Jacques Villeneuve, are you?
Never talk about Jacques Villeneuve.
Right.
But I think that it's a very different world being Max's teammate, not even necessarily on a talent basis, because how can you go into that team and say, well, I'm just going to dominate Max, or my goal is to beat Max Verstappen. It's just how the team are going to see you and treat you. It's like, know your place. Know your place. Your time will come, but it won't come if you don't know your place.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Liam, after being demoted from Red Bull, he, in fairness to Liam, I was giving some shtick, but in fairness, he did produce some steady points finishes, including a 5th in Baku. Outshone by Hadjar for sure. I give him a 6 out of 10. Decent, but lacked the pace really to justify a return to Red Bull, if I'm honest, down there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would say
I was hoping that he would go, for Liam's sake. I don't have a dog in the fight here, but for my little boy Liam, come on, whatever. But for Liam's sake, I was thinking it'd be good if he got back down to the Racing Bulls and then really excelled down there. To show that look, it is the car at Red Bull and it's struggling, and moving me down wasn't a great idea because I'm down here dominating, but he didn't do it.
Yeah, no, he didn't. But it was a
It wasn't
a big
It wasn't
mental.
horrible.
It
To
wasn't
your
horrible.
to your point you're making, it was a big mental blow, and I think
Yeah.
overall he managed that about as well as you could expect.
Yeah, it could have easily been Liam's last ride in Formula One and
Yeah.
been out before the end of the year if he hadn't been able to kind of reset a little bit. And it was a bit of a struggle there at the beginning. It had to be.
Yeah,
For
sure.
You go through all the press stuff, the preseason, the testing, the training, and it's like three races you're out, and like
Yeah,
he didn't even know he was going to be in another car.
right.
It wasn't guaranteed that if he was out Red Bull, he was going to get a seat at the Racing Bulls either.
Right.
He did. He got his chance. Took him a couple of races to figure it out. He does have some speed to him, but he also does make a couple errors in traffic when he doesn't mind to have a little ruck with everybody every now and again. But he doesn't usually come out of it too great.
No, he's not on the winning side.
No,
Yeah.
he's not usually, and he might take the other guy with him for sure. But
But he ends up with a broken wing or a cut tire.
yeah, rightly so. What Hadjar had in racecraft, Lawson is missing a little bit. So
Yeah,
I don't think Lawson needs to work on his speed as much as that side of his
I
drive.
agree. Yeah, I agree. Aston Martin it fell 2 places from 2024 despite high expectations with Adrian Newey there as managing technical partner. The car really lacked downforce and struggled to generate tire temps. The team endured a run of pointless races between Japan and Monaco, and then Lance missed the Spanish Grand Prix because he had a medical procedure. Upgrades introduced during the European triple header improved the performance, and Fernando Alonso scoring points in 7 of the final 10 races, which was good, achieving a season best 5th in Hungary. A suspension failure after gravel struck the push rod forced Alonso to retire from 7th at Monza. Aston Martin looks forward to the new Honda power unit in 2026. And Newey is team principal in 2026. So you have to know that the team, once Newey came on board, they were pretty focused, like Williams, on 2026 for most of this season. I think that's where all their focus was. I think the upgrades that they brought did help and finished scoring in the points. I gave them a 6 out of 10. It's a step backwards, if I'm honest. Progress and development, but they lack the consistency, certainly, for this year.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of effort put in producing the car, making it better and better and better. And I think that's why it ended up being decent at some tracks and not so at others, because they really weren't developing the car from race to race to race.
Right.
They had the car they had, and it's good at this. And when it turns up to those tracks, it was good, certainly in the hands of Fernando. But they're building quite an infrastructure, quite a power.
Impressive.
And they just haven't released it yet. And hopefully for Aston Martin, that is the new car, because literally everything's been building up to this. And this was kind of like the just treading water year, which is hard for someone like Fernando to take because he doesn't have that many more years left.
Right.
But the potential is so high that he's sticking around just in the hopes that they finally give him a car that he can win a race with. And so it was kind of a ho-hum year for them, but obviously their eye wasn't on this season at all.
Yeah, for sure. Slow start for Fernando, delivered a majority of the Aston's points. He out-qualified Stroll 24-0, beat him 16-8 in the races. Alonso's best result, 5th in Hungary, finished 10th in the championship. I gave him it's Alonso. I gave him a 7 out of 10. Very strong given the machinery he was in.
Yeah. He could turn it on when he had the chance, but also he understands the situation. He wasn't really going to throw everything at everything to try and get the last little point, like we've seen in the past when he was driving the McLaren and everything, driving a car with 3 wheels and all that kind of stuff. It's, he wasn't, he kind of, turned it off too when there wasn't a potential for anything out of it.
Yeah, he did. From Lance, he started well at a 6 in Australia, but only scored 7 points after the summer break. comprehensively outperformed by Alonso all season long, only escaping Q1 9 times of the year. I gave him a 4 out of 10. Disappointing, needs to improve race pace and qualifying, period. Full stop.
Yeah, probably his worst season so far, just very lackluster.
Need more mixed condition racing for Lance because he does
well at it.
He does.
It's so weird.
I know.
He does. He gets a little damp out there. He's very good at judging those things. So he's not a buffoon out there, but it definitely wasn't a great season for him.
No, it wasn't. Haas, American squad improved its points tally for a second straight year, but slipped to 8th in the constructors. Ollie Behrman, Esteban Ocon providing a solid pairing. Early in the season, Ocon scored a best yet 5th in China, but consistency improved after the summer break when Behrman's form really started to surge. Team's highlight was Behrman's 4th place in Mexico, equaling Haas's best ever result, and achieved thanks to a flawless team effort. I thought the team, from my perspective, really raised their game just as a team. Pit stops, the strategy was better. They had a nightmare in Qatar weekend. That ruined the hopes of beating Aston Martin, but Behrman incurred a stop-go penalty for an unsafe release and then later retired. Ocon received multiple penalties. That was brutal. That pretty much put paid to their efforts to achieve 7th. The inter-team collision that they had, lackluster start in Australia also hurt. But I think Io Komatsu, he praised the team for scoring in 6 of the last 7 races and believes that they have a strong foundation. I think Io's doing a great job with this team. I think the team overall are doing a good job and lifting their game. I think with Io coming in, now that Gunther's gone, I think the team is sort of rallying around him a little bit, kind of like Williams is with James. I think he's got the bit between his teeth. I think they're heading in the right direction. I gave him a 6 out of 10. Progress continues, but I think there were some operational errors that cost them points, a couple strategy snafus. They did drop in the constructors' points. I would have hoped they'd have done a little better than that.
Yeah, it's surprising, really, that they ended up in this place in the championship. Because
I agree.
If you looked at it without looking at the points, I would have said they were easily a 7th or 6th place team.
Me too. Yep.
Mostly in the hands of Behrman. And on occasion, Ocon could do it, but Ollie had some great runs, really high up the standing runs and qualifying and things like that. So I am surprised to see them finish in this position.
Yeah.
I think the leadership has a good personality, good approach to things. You just got to see. I know you compare him to Vowles, but I'm just not sure he's quite there at that point.
No, he's not on the level,
he's
but
a bit
I do
more
believe.
of a cheerleader type personality than cheerleader with a lot of backing up of things. I know he's an engineer at heart, but I think they do have potential of going forward. I think they'd have to do a driver change, not Behrman. So you can guess who the other one is, but they need to get a different outlook on things. So hopefully they have something to play with next year. But I think they should have been higher up in the standings from how good that car was at certain parts of the season.
Yeah, I agree, and especially in the last part of the season. Let's talk about the drivers. Ollie, in my mind, I'll be honest with you, I think Ollie's 20-year-old, I think he is a bit of a revelation. He really has been. He turned it on in the last part of the season. You can go back and look at the beginning of the season and then the last part of the season, and you can literally see his racecraft improve over one season. I mean, what he was doing in the beginning and what he was doing at the end was markedly different. I think it impressed the heck out of me. I don't want to overplay this, but I got to be honest with you. I think Ollie really is quite a bit of a revelation, as I kind of feel like Bortoleto was a little bit in moments this season. But I think Ollie really is somebody to watch for sure. And I say that as a Ferrari fan, hint, hint, because if Lewis's head isn't 100% in the game, I'd move Ollie in. I really would.
Yeah. I mean, look at his when he debuted with Ferrari, he was a sensation, and
he was.
Right. Maybe it takes a while to get used to not being at a team like Ferrari and being at maybe a mid-pack, lower budget team. Less people, less personnel, less this and that, but he definitely switched it on and just.
He did.
I think he definitely dominated the driver pairing in the garage.
Yeah, for sure. I think he looked great. Modest start, but he outqualified Ocon, matched him on races, 12-12 and head-to-heads. Behrman's charged from 9th to 4th in Mexico, delivered Haas's best moment. I thought it was a fantastic run, made Q3 multiple times, real strong one-lap speed for him. And so I gave him 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think he matured incredibly quickly over this season, delivered some really big results. Like, again, I'm not trying to overplay him, but look at what he had to deal with. And I think it's exactly where he needed to be, Paul, right in that midfield, honing that racecraft, how to pass, how to block, how to defend, all of those things. Really, he just adapted to that like a sponge, you know?
Yeah. And timing may be perfect for him, as you say.
Yeah, with Lewis.
Got another season. You know, he more than ready. Hopefully they don't do the same thing as Mercedes and leave him down there too long. Yeah,
it could be. Let's see. Ocon began the season as team leader, scored points in 6th first 7 races. Good start. However, he faded relative to Behrman in the second part of the season, ending tied in race results and narrowly trailing in points. So, they were pretty much on par. Penalties in Qatar and the inter-team collision in Silverstone were the low points for him. But I'll be honest with you, Esteban is a veteran, right?
Right.
And he was nearly on par with Behrman in points. Not where you want to be. So I gave him a 6 out of 10. Solid, but kind of eclipsed by his younger teammate, if I'm honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't he be number one with all that experience on the team? But, yeah, he definitely was outclassed by Behrman. And Ocon can show glimpses of pace, but less often. Right, I mean, he'd have 2 or 3 really good. Oh, Ocon's right there. He's with it. He's flying. And he can do it. He just can't do it from race to race to race. He just I don't know what the issue is, but he's just. I've called him an average F1 driver. Though I know he's won a Grand Prix, but that was extenuating circumstances, in my opinion. And I think this is why Haas needs something a bit more to be that second driver.
Yeah, agreed.
They can't just take an average guy. They need somebody with a bit more special.
Yeah, agreed. Let's see. Talk about Kick Sauber. The Hinwell squad had a decent year ahead of their new Audi stewardship in 2026. After scoring just 6 points in the first 8 races, a major upgrade introduced in Barcelona unlocked performance. Nico Hülkenberg rewarded the team by finishing 3rd at Silverstone. His first podium in 239 starts. A great run from him. And then I think Gabriel Bortoleto, or Gabby, gradually improved over the season. He started slow, methodical, really started to show some pace after that upgrade, and was thereabouts with Nico. He reached Q3 5 times, scored a career best 6 in Hungary. I think Sauber achieved multi-double points, finishing in, was it 6 of the last 7, something like that, if memory serves. But those early deficits prevented them from really beating Haas. But they really did come on song. And I thought, now this is pretty impressive turnaround for a team who basically was just phoning it in until Audi took over in 2026, right? But they did do that upgrade. They did come out fighting. They did get the podium with Nico. They were scoring points, double finishes. What a great momentum to carry into 2026 with a rookie who is really coming on song, with Nico Hülkenberg delivering when the car was capable, delivering. I gave the team a 7 out of 10. I thought they did well.
No, they did really well. Surprised. I'm not going to be sad to see that livery go away, though. That's about one of the ugliest F1 livery I've ever seen. So the new Audi one I prefer immensely.
Right.
And obviously, as they build towards 26, more and more of the Audiness is coming into play. Sure, they could have segregated everything and just all the Audi guys are over here working on a new car, but that's not how. That wouldn't be beneficial for when a team really has to have all the gears running at the same time in 2026. So I think they're going about it. It did show more potential than I expected. The results and showed it, and they scored points. And they say, who would have thought Hulkenberg, probably in his worst ride of his career, ends up scoring the only podium in his career.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. It was great.
Quite ironic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, it does bode well for next year that these are what this team is capable of, and the people they have put into place can actually still be inspiring in whatever car they had. And then let's see what they can do with the new rules. So, I thought it was a good season. And I fully expected them to be last, and they weren't.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I gave Nico a 7 out of 10 and Gabby a 6 out of 10. I thought they did a pretty good job. A good, solid leadership from Nico, promising speed. Need to reduce the mistakes from Gabby, but promising speed. I thought they did well. And then finally, we got Alpine. Tough season. Finished last, albeit with a record 22 points for last place team. But the campaign saw a driver change. You had Doohan replaced by Colapinto, management upheaval. Ollie Oakes departed with that bizarre, weird thing. I never really followed up on that. I don't know how that all went down.
Everyone forgot about him pretty quick.
Everybody forgot about him pretty quick, right? Then their focus all switched to 2026. Car rarely reached Q3. Gasly made it only 10 times. Worst moment was Azerbaijan. Both cars crashed in Q1, finished last. That was tough. I gave him a 3 out of 10 as a season to forget. Though the team showed a little bit of unity and begins 2026 with a Mercedes engine, new leadership maybe to be determined. So tough season for the team, Paul, for sure.
It was very tough, and Flavio definitely wasn't the magic pill that was going to fix everything, was he?
No, he wasn't.
I'm not sure he's the ideal choice.
Yeah,
I think his time has come and gone a long time ago. But,
I agree.
He certainly didn't mind talking about things, but it was a pretty pitiful performance that only Gasly could somehow pull something out occasionally. Of obviously the end of the engine program, bad mojo in the team all around. All these people losing their jobs because they're now just going to go buy a Mercedes off the shelf. And then, to me, it's like, okay, you're buying a Mercedes off the shelf. What are you as a team? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I haven't been sure for quite a few years, quite honestly. What are you doing here? What are you trying to achieve?
Right.
And a lot of speculation. Oh, we're rebuilding year for this and that. Well, that's been the constant, right? So,
6-7 years of rebuilding.
Hopefully the Mercedes engine will help them, but just nothing really to write home about the Alpine. So
they need to get Christian Horner in there, then he'll be a customer of Toto Wolff.
Oh, my.
That would be hilarious. Hey, look, Pierre Gasly carried the whole team, no doubt about it. He scored points in Bahrain, Britain, Brazil, qualified top 10 times, despite the car. He beat both teammates comprehensively in qualifying and races. Gasly it just carried the weight of this whole team. I think he had an excellent year given the equipment he was given. I gave him a 7 out of 10. I think he did a great job. For Doohan, wasn't there long enough to make an impact. I gave him a 2 out of 10. And for Colapinto, replaced Doohan, to be honest with you, really made no limited impact. He had speed, but no results. Kind of a learning year. Gave him a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, did he have speed though? I don't know.
I don't know. Questionable.
Yeah.
They re-signed him. I was really surprised to see him re-sign him. But we'll see. Maybe he'll come on Son next year. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, he when he first came in Formula One, he had a couple of really good drives and potential was there. He's going to go sign to Red Bull, but literally, just every racing the same. He was at the back of, if not further.
Yeah, it really was. All right, well, let's give some awards. I know it's a long podcast. I'm sorry, folks. We had a lot to cover, but let's give some awards and we'll bail out. First one we always like to say is Move of the Race.
Seriously,
but this time, it's Move of the Year, Paul. What did you have, Move of the Year?
I got it, the Red Bull turnaround. I mean, the magic bullet, whatever. They found them, they filled the secret notebook that Newey left behind or something, but that switch that they turned just changed everything for the whole season, for all of us to enjoy the second half of the season, honestly.
Yeah, it's so funny because Paul doesn't know what I picked, and I don't know what he picked until we do the podcast, and we picked the same thing. I had Red Bull's summer break that launched Max's incredible recovery drive back into the season. If I had to pick a move on track, I would say it was Max's pass at Emilio Romano on Oscar Piastri. That was a thing of beauty. But anyway, yeah, it was Red Bull's turnaround. I think it was the move of the year. It was incredible. Next award is always Donkey of the Race. Oh, yeah.
We'll do it live.
Heck yes, we'll do it live. What'd you have, Donkey of the Year, Paul?
I've got Alpine just because it was such a pitiful. I'm sure it could be doing something a bit more colourful. Could it be Ferrari for taking on Lewis Hamilton and giving him nothing? I don't know, but I'll stick with the Alpine just for now. Hopefully they can turn around.
That's good. I had a moment. I think McLaren's strategy at Qatar by leaving both cars out or racing a McLaren 1-2 finish and allowing Max into the hunt was a bit of a donkey move. For a team that won the Constructors last year, had a dominant lead in the Constructors this year, damn near threw the whole thing away over Papaya Rules and the silly Qatar strategy that Papaya Rules begat. I think that was pretty bad.
Put him in jeopardy for sure.
Yep. Leaves one award. Oh, yeah. It is Drive of the Year.
It's in there, Lewis. You like my bass? You like it?
Heck yes, we do. All right, Paul.
I'm going to give it to all the Max Verstappen laps. No, but I think Max as a driver of the year is a you can't. I don't think you can question it. What a phenomenal turnaround, and he played a big part in the team turning the car around, and he certainly performed on track whenever it was necessary.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It's a good shot. All right, I went with all the feels on this.
Okay.
I did. I am giving it to Nico Hülkenberg for his P3 at Silverstone, his first ever podium, coming from 19th in the most improbable result practically ever for his first podium.
For sure.
What a great story, a great moment for Formula One to see him score his first podium in a Sauber, right?
It was.
From 19th.
It was.
What a great result. Great team.
It was great. It was a tearjerker, that was.
It was. It really was. A great result. So I'll give it to Nico's podium. Anyway, all right, let us know what all of you think about the season and what you think about the drivers. If you have their own ratings, let us know what they are. You can do that by going to theparkformay.com. Share your opinion. Just do it with decorum and civility. Also, a huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. We could not and would not do this podcast. It would not exist if it were not for our Patreon supporters. So thank you so much for doing that and supporting us. If you'd like to support us, you can go to theparkformay.com. The right-hand side or at the bottom, it says support us. Just click on that and you can choose the way you would support us. We'd appreciate it if you like the podcast. Go to your favorite podcast player and give us a good rating. Show us some love out there. Appreciate it. Thumbs up. If you watch us on YouTube, you hit the like and hit the follow. Right? Follow us. Yeah. Why not? Doesn't hurt.
Just not in a creepy way, but you can
not in a creepy way, but just follow us. Why wouldn't you? Right? Share it. Share the link with friends, family, foes. It doesn't matter to us. So we would appreciate that. And, why not? And for you Patreon, if you're not a Patreon supporter, if you join and support us on Patreon, you get the podcast audio and the video commercial free. No commercials. All right. Yes. So if you hate those things, it is a beautiful thing. So you can support us. All right. Until next week, when we come back, I'll find Grace and we'll get her opinions on all this and more. Until then, this is Paul. I guess if we don't talk to you as you head to Daytona, have a productive week down there.
Hey, thanks. Well, productive 10 days. Going to be busy.
Yeah, very busy 10 days.
Take 2 pairs of shoes because I'm going to wear them out. Yeah.
It's right. Get the roar before the 24, baby.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be exciting. All right. Well, until next week, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camber, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.